following program is brought to you by Cloudcast Media, a podcast leader in developing shows to elevate local brands, local stories, and local storytellers. Cloudcast, bringing ears and minds home.
The San Diego Union Tribune and Retirement Strategies Group present the Union Tribune Community Spotlight Show with your host, Drew Schlossberg.
I'm Drew Schlossberg of the San Diego Union Tribune. Always a good day when we have our friends from the San Dieguito River Valley Conservancy on the air. Our frequent guest, Trish Boaz, is the executive director of the Conservancy. How you doing, Trish?
Oh, my gosh, we're doing great.
You always are doing great. You brought your education manager with you, Ana Lutz. How you doing, Ana?
I am doing fantastic.
Right. And then one of your cool colleague folks here, Jeff Nordland. He is a herpetologist with the Southwestern Field Herping Association. Did I get that right?
Yeah, good morning, Joe.
Okay, very, very good over here. We're going to get into herping and herpetology, and if that's the right word and all that business, we'll start with you on this, Trish. How long have you been involved with the Conservancy?
Since April 1st, 2013, it's been a whirlwind, let me tell you. We've been super busy.
That's right, and it won't stop, by the way, on this. And how long has the Conservancy been in business?
For over 34 years.
Okay, 34 years. And
yes.
What's the mission?
Well, the mission is to protect the natural and cultural resources of the San Dieguito River watershed, which is about 55 miles as a crow flies from Del Mar all the way to Vulcan Mountain and Julian.
How about as the horse flies? Just kidding. Just wanted to use that.
Gosh.
I just wanted to use that Marx Brothers joke. I've been waiting for 12 years to use it, and we did on this. So it stretches from where to where? So you were saying
from North Beach and Del Mar.
Okay.
And we're building a trail with the San Dieguito River Park Joint Powers Authority that will be a 70-mile trail, and 48 miles of it is still in place. So you one day will be able to either hike, ride your bike, or ride your horse from Del Mar all the way to Vulcan Mountain and Julian.
Yeah, that's very cool. And you raise your funds through how? Donations, grants, how?
Donations, grants, and we really depend on the citizens and the people that have the passion for nature, because, we have to secure our legacy into the future. With all of the things that are going on with habitat degradation, climate change, we have a lot of work to do, and the Conservancy has been very active in acquiring open space, but we are very active in reducing fuel, which is invasive plants, arundo, tamarisk, that go right up to homes in the River Valley.
Right.
And we've had several fires in the last couple of years in Rancho Santa Fe and San Pasqual Valley. But more importantly, well, not more importantly, but just as important, is making sure that our future stewards, our youth, are educated and also carry the torch in the future. And that's what Ana is charged with, and Jeff helps us.
Well, getting out and starting people at literally at birth, in all seriousness, to understand that once we lose it, we don't get it back. Mm-hmm. That's how this stuff works in this area. Anna, how long have you been involved with the organization?
A little over 2.5 years now. It just feels like it went by in a blink of an eye.
And do you work with all the schools that are in that region or countywide?
We go countywide.
Right.
So in the Conservancy, we have a couple different type of educational programs, something called formalized programs for K through 12 students, where they're aligned with the different standards in California. So teachers are able to check those boxes off that they need to teach their students about specific topics. But we're also giving them a relevant educational and experience in an outdoor setting, and to take it back into the classroom. And then on the other token, we work a lot with specialists like Jeff, where we do community events, where we're learning in a different type of community field setting that's a really broad range of ages and different abilities and knowledge skills as well.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to, they're listening to the show and says, listen, I want to have Ana come out or Jeff come out to my elementary school or middle school or high school, is it by grade level, or do you focus on a certain area, or K through 12?
K through 12, and we have different curriculum that's set up by grade bands.
Sure.
So the traditional K 2nd, 3-5, 6-8, and 9-12.
Right, exactly. So, Jeff, how'd you get into reptiles and amphibians and all those very cool little animals that are running around our backyards and canyons and all that business?
Well, Drew, I was born here in San Diego, and my father was in the Navy.
Okay.
And when I was about 3 years old, we were stationed on Treasure Island in the San Francisco Bay Area, the naval base. And one of my earliest memories was walking in a grassy field under some trees with my older sister. I was about 3 or 4 years old, and there was a rock maybe 8 inches across, and I lifted it up, and I found a salamander. And I picked it up, and I showed it to my older sister. She got really excited, and I think that was it. From then on, I just remember I've been fascinated with lifting rocks and looking in the garden with my mom and finding little snakes. And I did my first book report on snakes when I was 6 years old. So it's just been since I can remember. I've been finding them.
Right. So I had a pet salamander as well. Yeah, literally had a pet. My parents made a little tank for it and all that business. And, of course, it would lose its tail and all that business, and I was mortified. And I remember we were going on a camping trip for about 3 weeks, and I said, who's going to take care of the salamander? And true story. And so my mom said, just go down to, Mrs. Fishman's house and have them watch the salamander. You throw some lettuce in it, whatever you fed the salamander with at the time. I was like 5 years old. And I come back with the salamander. And my mom goes, I thought you were going to go down and drop this off at Mrs. Fishman because it's not kosher. She won't take the salamander. So I'm not sure what we did. True story. And so I was heartbroken. They go, we'll find somebody else to take care of the salamander. That's very cool. With this aspect of it, you're a herpetologist, correct? Now, do you work individually? Do you work with an organization? How does that work?
So I volunteer with many different groups. I've been volunteering with the River Valley Conservancy for nearly 10 years now. The first survey I did was in April of 2010.
Right.
And now I'm a member of the Southwestern Field Herping Association.
Right.
There's about 6 of us in Southern California and a few others in Arizona, and they're experienced herpetologists that our mission is to help educate the public and let's make sure I get this right, help people understand and appreciate our native reptiles and amphibians with the goal of influencing sound conservation and management of the animals and their habitats.
Right. So do you work with with that mission, which I think is so important, working with the Conservancy, of course, and with other groups to, maybe lobby is not the right word, but, to advocate to say, hey, if you went and put this freeway through here, or if you went and did X, Y, and Z, this is what you're going to do and disturb some of the...
Yeah, that's almost exactly right. We do a lot of work with the Toll Roads Association in Orange County and do a lot of surveys on the property near the freeways. And one good example that I've had in the San Diego River Valley Conservancy was I was out on my own and I found a relatively rare snake in the River Valley bottom.
And didn't jump out of your socks like I would?
No, it actually had been hit by a car on the road, and I entered a record into the database where I do, and the biologist from the U.S. Geological Survey, Dr. Robert Fisher, he's well known. He saw my record. He asked me about it. We got in touch. We collaborated, and it turned out that he had some funding to increase the size of the preserve that was neighboring that area in the Lusardi Creek Preserve that joins up with the San Dieguito River right there near Rancho Santa Fe. So that's the sort of thing that where the citizen science and volunteer work and entering records into the database can actually contribute directly to conservation of some of the habitat.
Yeah, we were chatting with Jeff Nordland. He's the herpetologist at Southwestern Field Herping Association, joined by Trish Boaz, executive director of the San Diego River Valley Conservancy, joined by her colleague Ana Lutz, who's the education manager for the Conservancy on this. I want to get back to some of this citizen science aspect of it, because I know, Trish, you and I have talked about this incessantly since you've been on the show, it seems, for years on this, but I want to get back to you. Talk about Watershed Explorers.
Oh, well, Watershed Explorers is, again, experiential for youth and families. We also go out and solicit not only students, but from all throughout the county, people to have experiences. And I think Ana, she runs a program. She's amazing. Why don't you go ahead and talk about Watershed Explorers?
So our Watershed Explorers program is faceted in two ways, where, like I previously spoke about, that we have our formalized programming and curriculum. So for our Watershed Explorers curriculum, we have partners. Excuse me. The Conservancy is the administrator, and then we have the San Dieguito River Park Joint Powers Authority, the Vulcan Mountain Foundation, and the San Diego Archaeological Center. So we all partner to create and establish that curriculum for 3rd through 5th graders. And then on the other token, as Trish was alluding to, is that we have Watershed Explorers experiences. So these are the less formalized, more experiential things, going out into the field and just seeing what we see and talking about our observations and really laying that groundwork that science isn't just for quote-unquote professional scientists,
right.
that everyone can be a scientist and contribute some way, and laying that foundational work, whatever age you are, in collecting observations, making inferences, asking questions. They're really, really big. So it's a great way to introduce people to the Conservancy.
I mean, Jeff's herp hikes are some of the most popular events that we hold during the year. They sell out right away.
Yeah, and when we come back from break, I want to talk about a herp hike in this aspect. I also want to talk about some of the cool events that you do throughout the year. Trish, one of these days I'll get to go to one of those and put that on the calendar.
You keep threatening that, Drew.
I keep threatening that. It'll shut down the event and it'll never happen again. No, I mean, you put on so many wonderful things, and also for this great cause. So when we come back from break, I want to chat with, first of all, real quickly, Trish, shout out the website where people can get a hold of you.
SDRVC.org.
Right. And how about you, Jeff? What's your website?
Oh, it's southwestfieldherp.com.
Very, very good. We're going to chat more about how we can support the San Dieguito River Valley Conservancy and the Southwestern Field Herping Association. We return with Trish, Ana, and Jeff on the Community Spotlight Show on Cloudcast Media Radio. Brought to you by Retirement Strategies Group. Retirement made simple.
Cloudcast 180. Powerful people, powerful stories, 180 seconds.
Welcome to Cloudcast 180. We're here today with the president and CEO of Father Joe's Villages. Welcome to Deacon Jim Vargas.
Thank you, Charles. Good to be with you.
We have 3 minutes. Let's hit it fast and furiously. We're going to talk this morning with you about San Diego being a very expensive city, which creates a housing crisis, which is exacerbating the homeless crisis in San Diego. Let's talk about your leadership on this issue.
Sure, absolutely. We do have an affordable housing crisis here in San Diego. In fact, if you ask about the number one issue why people fall into homelessness, it's lack of affordability. And so they fall onto the streets, especially when rents go up, and rents are very expensive here. So we at Father Joe's Villages focus tremendously on housing. In fact, about 40% of our intervention is placing individuals into permanent and affordable housing. All right, so shows you the extent of what we do. And of course, there's services that go along with this, because in order for people to retain their housing, their dwellings, they have to have the services that they're necessary, whether it's mental health services or substance use disorder services, whatever that is. We have a Turning the Key initiative, whereby we will be introducing 2,000 affordable housing units into the community during the next number of years. In fact, we just closed on a deal to purchase and refurbish a motel in the South Bay area. It's going to add 83 permanent supportive housing units. Next week, we'll be closing financially on a groundbreaking that will have 14-story building, 407 units of housing as well, taking about 550 people off the street. So housing is extremely important.
Which means you're investing a lot of capital. How are you finding that capital to solve the housing crisis in San Diego for homeless folks? 90
to 95% of our funding is public funding. Various sources, whether it be from the state, it be local, county, city, municipality. So most of it is public funding. There's tax credits that are involved there. The capital stack is quite large, actually.
So you're finding the land, you're finding the capital, you're changing lives. How are you minimizing the risk of future homelessness for these clients of yours? We're minimizing it through our services.
We need to make sure that in order for them to retain the housing, that they receive the services that they need, that are holistic and are comprehensive to their specific needs.
That's fantastic. Deacon Jim, in the last 10 years, your organization has taken 11,000 folks from homelessness to a home. So I congratulate you. Any closing thoughts for our audience?
No, that's what it's all about.